By looking at one of Hildegard's own works of music, we can actually see Hildegard as poet, perhaps as musician, and also as a chief inventor of a special secret language. This is a real flowering of creativity. We're seeing several of the arts come together in one event. The chant that we will look at is a hymn, O Orskis, and the text is written by Hildegard von Bingen. It's in Latin, but it has some words that actually are not in fact in Latin. The text reads, it begins, O Orskis ecclesia, armis divinis praecinta, et hyacinto ornata, tu est caldemia stigmatum loi folum et urbs scientiarum. On the next slide, I'll show you what the text means. But for now, let me highlight on this page the words that are actually not Latin. This strange appearance of non-Latin words that are also not Germanic is evidence of a peculiar phenomenon in Hildegard's religious community. The nuns, led by Hildegard, developed what is called a lingua ignota, a secret language that seems to have been used just by them in their day-to-day living. We have a glossary of about 1,100 words, perhaps a little more, perhaps a little less. It doesn't seem like they replaced their Germanic language or Latin with this strange new language, but they developed sort of special words, in-house words, as it were, for specific things. Sometimes for herbs, some are adjectives, some words describe people, places, and things. Now, we'll look at what the text means. Here's an English translation of the chant, leaving the words in the lingua ignota still untranslated and in italics. Also, you might notice in this translation the word ecclesia is untranslated. That means church in Latin. The text of this hymn, then, is a hymn of praise or adoration or admiration, really, for the church itself, not a building, but the body of Christianity. The idea that the church is the bride of Christ. The church is the partner or servant of Christ, and that includes all the people in Christianity. This very florid text seems to have a lot of words of praise for this body of Christianity. So let's look at a translation by another scholar. Now we can see the words in the lingua ignota translated into English. And we see this translation at the top of the screen, O measureless church, girded with divine arms and adorned with jacinth. This translation seems to be still a little tricky, although we do have conjectures, guesses about what those lingua ignota words are. If we look at it retranslated again into slightly more modern English, O measureless church, surrounded with divine armies and decorated with hyacinth, that's flower. You are the balm of the wounds of all people. Okay, it's talking about healing. And the city of sciences, that is the city of all wisdom. Interesting. If you look again at this translation, you might get a sense that Hildegard's words refer to many senses. Decorated with hyacinth, a hyacinth is a really fragrant, beautiful smelling flower. So there's the sense of smell. You are the balm of the wounds of all people. Okay, maybe that's the sense of touch. Wouldn't it feel good to put some soothing cream or some soothing medicine on a wound? You are bathed in noble sounds. Oh, well, I guess that would be the hymns of the people in the church singing. Those are the noble sounds, perhaps, or even, I suppose, it could be the church including angelic choruses. And you are a sparkling gem. Well, there's the sense of vision. This is a really all-encompassing description of this infinite body of Christianity. And it's a measure of Hildegard's absolute devotion. It's also rather sensual. The church in this day was suspicious of the temptations of the body's senses. And so to have a poet writing with religious ardor about all of the senses is a little unusual. Now, let's listen to the chant. That is the melody to which these words are sung. This chant is written to be sung unaccompanied, in unison. It's meant to be an example of monophony. At least, we think so. The problem is that in those days, Hildegard's day, musical notation was in its infancy. And so the weird markings on the manuscript that we have don't look anything like modern musical notation, and they don't even look anything like the musical notation of sacred chants even 200 years after Hildegard. So any modern performance is a reinterpretation of what these strange squiggles on parchment might mean. Let's listen to a little bit of this chant. I've highlighted some characteristics of this piece of music. We've already analyzed the text. It's monophonic. There's a single voice without any orchestrated harmony or any other tune going on at the same time. And the rhythm is really governed by the speed at which the words go by and the relative strengths and weaknesses of the syllables. This intriguing piece of chant would likely have been chanted by the nuns before or after a worship service, that is, a mass. One thing we don't know is whether Hildegard herself wrote the notes of the chant, or whether she provided the poetry and someone else in her priory composed the actual music. It's really difficult to tell with medieval chant who is the actual composer. In fact, being the composer of a piece of music wasn't actually very important for a big chunk of the Middle Ages. Now that we've looked at an example of poetry and an example of music in one package, the next video will show you an even more intriguing aspect of Hildegard, that of her illuminations.